What's going on, everyone? Jalil here. In today's video, we're going to talk about 7 questions that you should ask a realtor when you're shopping for a new home. Maybe you're a first-time home buyer, you're not exactly sure what questions to ask this agent to make sure that they're good or not, or even if they're the right fit for you. So most buyers tend to just go online, maybe Zillow or Redfin, and pick the first agent that they find. But what you really want to do is interview this agent to make sure you two complement one another. You want to make sure that you don't get a bad agent, because a bad agent could cost you a lot of time, money, and possibly even give you a few headaches. So in today's video, we're going to talk about these 7 questions that I recommend you ask your realtor to make sure you two are a good fit for one another and you have a smooth transaction for what is possibly the most important purchase of your life. So let's jump right into it with number 1. Let's get started with number 1. The first question that you want to ask them is, how long have they been an active realtor? Now, there's no specific answer to this question, and you don't need someone who has 20 to 40 years of experience, but you want someone who is seasoned enough where they know what they're doing. You also probably don't want the agent that just got their license 2 weeks ago because they heard that they can make a ton of money in this field. Most realtors tend to fail or quit within the first year, so you want someone committed to the process. If you're open to giving someone a shot for the first time, that's cool. But generally speaking, you want someone who has experience with the home buying process, especially if it's your first time buying a home. Do you really want it to also be their first time doing the transaction on their side as well? Think about it. You want someone who's committed to the process, that can answer your questions when they come about, and they're not going to run the first time things start to get difficult. You want someone who's sticking around for the long haul. Question number 2. Now, is this realtor part-time or are they full-time? You don't necessarily need a realtor who is full-time in real estate, but the main basis of this question is to figure out what is their schedule like. If they work part-time in real estate and they're full-time at Verizon, will they be able to answer your questions on a busy day with a lot of customers on the floor? Or do they have to wait until they get off their shift at 6 p.m. to answer your questions? What if you have an urgent question? Will they be able to answer it in a timely fashion? So this question is really to decide whether or not your schedule fits one another. Because I've seen part-time real estate agents become successful, but if they're part-time and let's say they work at Verizon and they're on the sales floor, what if they're not able to use their phone when they're around customers? You want someone who's going to be able to answer your questions, especially if you're in the midst of a contract and you have an offer out. You want them to be accessible. So figure out if this agent is part-time or are they full-time. Question number 3, which is almost a follow-up to question number 2, which is, ask this realtor, how will you two communicate? What do they prefer and what do you prefer? Depending on the realtor, they may prefer, phone calls or emails only. And you may prefer text messages. You want to make sure there's a good blend there where, you can answer questions quickly based on how you like to respond. And if they don't like to respond that way, are they willing to compromise? If not, it may not be a good fit. So ask this realtor how they prefer to communicate and does it match up with how you prefer to communicate. Question number 4, you want to ask your realtor what areas do they predominantly work in. The goal of this question is to make sure that the realtor is familiar with and understands the area that you're trying to purchase a property in. This is key in 2 ways. First way is probably the most obvious, scheduling. Let's say this realtor predominantly works in and lives in upstate New York, but you're trying to purchase a property in Brooklyn, New York. That's a decent distance for that realtor to travel to Brooklyn, New York, when most of their business and where they live is in upstate New York. It may be beneficial for you to get someone who is closer to the area that you want to purchase in, or familiar with the area that you want to purchase in and is willing to go back and forth to that area. Another reason this is key is because a realtor that works and lives in a certain area may be familiar with that area and knows everything going on in that community. If the realtor predominantly works in a certain area, they may know other realtors that live and work in that area, which could be beneficial to you when you're trying to put an offer in a property if your realtor knows and has a good relationship with the listing realtor on the home that you're trying to purchase. So ask your realtor what areas do they predominantly work in, because they may have a presence where you want to buy and give you an advantage when it comes to buying a home in that specific area. Okay, for question number 5, do they own a home? Do they invest in real estate? Now, this question could go either way, right? You don't necessarily need your realtor to own a home for them to help you purchase a home. But I always say that you want someone to believe in the product that they're selling you. So that agent that, owns multifamily homes may be better suited if you are trying to purchase a multifamily property. There are things that they're going to be able to tell you about multifamily properties that someone that's been a lifelong renter is not going to be able to tell you just based off experience. So figure out if they own a home, if that's what you're trying to do. Do they invest in multifamily properties if you're trying to buy, let's say, a duplex, a triplex, or a quad? That'll be an advantageous towards you because you have an agent that's familiar not only with the process, but they live it themselves as well. If you're looking to purchase a multifamily home, but the realtor doesn't believe in home ownership and they only rent, there may be a gap there. It may not be the best fit. It doesn't mean that they're a bad realtor. It just means that it may not be the best fit for you for this transaction. It also goes both ways. An agent that specifically, focuses on multifamily properties may not be the best agent if you're looking to rent an apartment. Agents where all they do is rent apartments and they rent an apartment themselves, they know the ins and out of lease agreements, neighborhoods with the best rentals, and they'll be able to assist you better if you're looking to rent an apartment versus buy a multifamily property. Okay, now question number 6. Do they typically work with sellers or do they typically work with buyers? Or maybe it's even a mixture of both. And how many first-time buyers have they helped in the last 6 months? An agent that focuses only on investor clients may not be the most equipped to help first-time home buyers. Small things such as keeping up to date with what grants, programs are available for first-time home buyers may not be on the top of a mind of a realtor that only helps investor clients that always use cash. It doesn't mean that they're a bad realtor. It just means that, they may not be the realtor for you. An agent that always helps first-time home buyers is going to be up to date with new policies that came out, new programs where you could have down payment assistance, new grants that are out to help first-time home buyers, and they could gear you and be best fit to help you succeed as a first-time home buyer. Also, what if you're an investor? A realtor that only helps first-time home buyers may not know what you need as an investor. Doesn't mean that they can't help you. It just means that a realtor who does investors only may be a better fit for you. Now, last but not least, question number 7. And question number 7 is simply, why should you choose them? Ask the realtor why you should hire them as an agent to represent you in this transaction. Now, although they are helping you purchase a home, you're also helping them put food on their table for their family because essentially they're going to get compensated for the work that they're doing. Figure out why you should hire that agent to help you purchase your home, especially if it's your first home. What can they provide you? What of value can they bring to the table to make sure that you're successful and that this is a smooth process throughout? And when you ask this question, you're looking for an answer that is, not something generic, something that's honest, genuine, that resonates with you, that you can relate to, that makes you feel that it makes sense for the situation you're in currently. Maybe they, were a first-time home buyer themselves and they didn't have an agent that represented them to the best of their ability. And now they became an agent so they can help other first-time home buyers be successful in this process. These 7 questions will give you a great guide or a great feel to the realtor as to whether or not they're a right fit for you. And what it also does is it sets expectations, because now you have answers to these questions on communication, their history, their track record, and they have something to live up to. So when you start working together, do they live up to these answers that they were providing you initially when you first interviewed them? And that's key. Then if not, you see any red flags, it's time to go and interview someone else. But at least now there are clear expectations of both parties involved, and you have a better idea whether or not this realtor is a good fit for you. As a licensed agent myself, these are the questions I expect to receive, or these are the answers I provide even without the questions, just so that my client, my buyers, they have a clear expectation of what our working relationship will look like as far as communication, as far as locations, whatever the case may be. I want them to feel 100% comfortable and know what they're getting into and know who they're working with. So those are my 7 questions that I recommend you ask when interviewing a realtor. After asking these questions, you'll get a better picture of whether or not this realtor is the right fit for you and they can help you achieve this home buying dream. If you have any additional questions that you think I may have missed or any suggestions, just leave it in the comment below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Peace. An agent that focuses only on investor clients may not be the most equipped to help first-time home buyers. Did I say that right? Oh, try talking too much. Let's get started with number 1. Question number 3.